Well, you just celebrated a birthday. What'd she get you this year?
Clothes. A lot of clothes.
More
And
Big Lebowski gear, or did you get like a Ron Burgundy sweater or something?
I had some friends get me some funny stuff like that, but my lineman actually got me. Let's see, Depends, prune juice, cane. So they're kind of sending me a message there a little bit.
Yeah, they're kind of calling you.
Also got some. You know what? I got some scotch, and I got some vinyls. I've gotten into vinyls the last couple of years, so I needed some '90s stuff coming my way. So that was pretty awesome.
Okay, but vinyls is kind of '80s, right? That's like when we were really kids. I mean, like, listen, you can go old now. So your record player, did you go and buy like an old school record player or like a new version of the record player?
It's a newer version. I know that's kind of bad form there, but it's a newer version. I'm looking though. That's a good present idea right there.
Like Nirvana vinyls. Did you get Pearl Jam 10? Because I told you Pearl Jam 10 is in fact the best album ever. Not Nirvana.
Yep, that was one of the ones. August and everything after. The Crows, Counting Crows. Yeah, a lot of stuff. All '90s though. I loved it.
How's the hamstring?
It's doing better. Doing a lot better. Not sure. I mean, it's not going to be 100%, but it's feeling better.
How do you know? Like that's the big thing with hamstrings. Aaron Rodgers joining us on CBS Sports Radio. Hamstrings are one of those things where like you feel like you're fine, but then like you're going to get out there and start running around, and then you feel a tug, and we see you kind of in the sideline pup tent. Like, will you know until Sunday, or do you like I don't know, how do you know on a hamstring?
Well, luckily I don't have to do a ton of running around, so I know my limitations, but it's a feel thing. The weather plays a factor, the field, the footing, plays a factor as well on how you respond, because it's about pushing off and slowing down with the hamstring. And, last week I was definitely limited in practice and on the field. Sunday, just when I was able to move around as well as I usually do. Felt a little bit better day-wise in comparison this Thursday to last Thursday, but not substantially better.
Aaron Rodgers, who I don't know if he's joined us from the practice facility. He's not joining us from like his couch where he would have some scotch and have a record playing in the background. Although we can have kind of that visual with the dude sweater. Like I'm getting the whole visual of what's going on later this evening.
A little pipe smoke.
Monocle? Do you own a monocle? That would be kind of next step.
Another good gift idea as well.
We're loading up for people who are going to buy for A-Rod. These are ideas. You mentioned how limited you were last week. Of course, maybe no more limited than when you played the Seahawks who you're playing this weekend. Go back 2 years ago, NFC Championship game. How hurt were you?
A lot worse back then. I kind of blew my calf out inside and outside, and thanks to our staff and my acupuncturist, I was able to play in those two playoff games, but I was definitely in some serious discomfort.
All right, you have one of these like crazy memories, and like most people who are athletes like have kind of the DVR, if you will, where you can see plays. Your memory's like to a different level. So when you see the Seahawks, how much of the old feelings of kind of the one that got away, like you guys had that game won, you were going to your second Super Bowl. I don't know your level of health, but you would have had 2 weeks off. How much of that plays into the psyche in preparing this week?
Well, I just think those are always things that you think about, in the off season, and you'll probably think about at the end of your career. We've had a couple of those games with them, obviously that one, and then the Phil Mary game that are, disappointing finishes. Is kind of an understatement, but when we look at this team, we just look at the film from this year and focus on those things, and those memories, are always going to be with you, as are the incredibly exhilarating and exciting ones. But yeah, there's been some pretty epic games over the years against these guys.
No question about it. Aaron Rodgers joining us on CBS Sports Radio. This has been kind of a weird year. I mean, obviously the defense has sustained a ton of injuries. You guys have had a turnstile back there in the backfield behind you. Jordy's had to come back off of ACL surgery, and so that it's changed kind of that dynamic of him kind of getting deep and getting open for you. And it feels like the first time in recent memory that some people are, I don't know if you would call it taking shots or pointing out things that you're not doing as well as you had once done. What's that like for you to absorb?
Well, I don't think you have to absorb it, Doug. I don't think, the things that people say you have to have a reaction to every single time or or let into your frame of mind. I think as athletes we're able to really focus on the here and now, and it's we're also human, so we all deal with criticism and distraction in our own way. But I think you learn to grow pretty thick skin over the years when you deal with this on a constant basis. Obviously, stats and win-loss record are things that people like to talk about a lot. But as a leader of this team, I care about the preparation and the efficiency mostly. And I can say the preparation has not wavered at all. The efficiency has been inconsistent at times for our offense and myself. But I feel like we've gotten to a better rhythm at least the last few weeks and started to do some of the things that we've known to do over the years. But going back to my initial response, I don't think you have to absorb those things. You're going to hear about them one way or another at some point probably, but I don't think you have to absorb those or even have a reaction to them.
All right, so how should we kind of, as I call it civilians, right? Like when I watch a basketball game with my basketball friends, like we watch it a little bit differently, and you watch football totally differently and play football totally differently than any of us. But we grew up playing Madden, or I grew up playing like youth football. But the concepts are so much more advanced. So we fall back on some of the new age stats. How appropriate are they to use in discussing how well you or how well other people play?
Well, I just think it's important to remember that the majority of those are not objective. It's not like we're looking at something, we know how to observe this, and then here's the response. Unless you know the schematics, I don't think you can really accurately say who's at fault, who's to blame, who gets the credit. Who is supposed to block a certain person, who is supposed to be on a certain route. So those are really interesting observations, I think, to really put too much onus on or importance on. There's the measurables, obviously the statistics. Those can be skewed to make a person look like they're having a better season or a worse season than they're having. But wins and losses is the way that quarterbacks usually are judged on, I feel like, along with, touchdown and reception ratio and the number of other categories. And, it was a slow start to the season for myself and our offense, but I feel better about the way that we've been playing lately. But obviously we still have a lot in front of us. We want to accomplish our goal of getting back to the playoffs.